Last year, FIU came into the preseason. Everybody predicted them to finish sixth. The prognosticators were very, very wrong last year. They finished second in the East, finished up with an outstanding record of 8-5, went to a bowl game, had one of the most wins in a long time. And FIU joins us now, head coach Butch Davis. Butch,
Ron,
good to see you again, buddy.
Great to be with
For
you.
you guys, we go back about 30 years. So, also joining us, running back Napoleon Maxwell, missed a couple of consecutive seasons, came back in 2017, and was the second leading rusher last year for the team. Also joining us, Anthony Johnson, defensive lineman, led the interior DL in total tackles last year. Last year when we were here, you were very, very positive when you and I sat here and talked about this team. You had great expectations, and I don't want to say you exceeded the expectations because I know as a coach you probably wanted more, but still it was a good start.
Yeah, you know what, Ron? A year ago, the one thing that we didn't know was we'd never played a game with these guys, but I was absolutely, totally positive because of the way in which that they had accepted the new culture, the new coaches, ourselves. We'd had an unbelievably great spring practice for the first time. I had watched them during the course of the summer really buy in, take the ownership of the growth and the development of the team, pushing for competition to play. So that made me feel good about the types of things that it was going to take to win in this league.
Well, you went to the first bowl game since 2011. They went to the Gasparilla Bowl, and you lost to Temple, unfortunately. But when was the part of the season you said, you know, these guys have the potential of doing something that hasn't been done in a long time?
Well, Ron, I think there were several different games. I think a road win at Marshall was really significant for the program. Going on the road, being an underdog, I think that was a significant win. Earlier in the year, a goal line stand, and Anthony was part of that. 6 plays inside the 3-yard line against Charlotte to win the game, coming back, after having been down. So there were several different things that happened in different games throughout the course of the season. You said, you know what, these kids, it means something to them to win, and just watching the way that they competed and they spilled their guts every single Saturday, we felt very positive about them.
You know, I look at sometimes the little things that led to the winning season, and what stands out to me is you led the nation in red zone scoring offense.
Yeah.
You didn't let any opportunity pass you by last year.
Yeah, and a lot of that, the credit goes to Alex Magoo, the quarterback. I think he had caught an awful lot of criticism in the previous years for being athletic. He's got a good arm. He can do these things. But unfortunately, there was some times during certain games he would maybe make a bad decision, or a ball would get tipped, they'd get an interception, and it would derail the team. Alex was spectacular, and especially at no better point than being in the red zone, that when we got inside the 30, the 25-yard line, we were going to put points on the board because he was going to put us in situations, right plays, and know that as long as, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, as long as we don't turn the ball over, it's going to turn out to be something good.
Well, you mentioned Alex Magoo, who was an outstanding career at the school, but he is gone. Now, in spring, you rotated 3 quarterbacks.
Right.
Give us the update on that.
Yeah, we did. We rotated 3 quarterbacks, and probably, Maurice Alexander, who was the backup quarterback for us last year, came in, played in the bowl game when Alex went down, and when the spring practices were over. This is one of the things that you love about a team, when it's not about ego, it's not about myself. Maurice came to us and he said, Coach, I really think that I can make a bigger impact on our football team by moving positions from quarterback to wide receiver, and I think he's going to do an excellent job. Christian Alexander really played well. Last year he was the 13th quarterback on the team. I think his understanding of the system, obviously that's going to be a big part of it. But one of the things, and these guys can talk about it a little bit, Ron, we need competition, and competition drives you to become really, really good. And so for Christian, we needed some competition at the quarterback position, and James Morgan, a 5th-year transfer, a grad transfer from Bowling Green, joined our team the first summer session. He's got, I think, 15 starts at Bowling Green. Right. He's played in some big-time games. So those 2 guys are going to really compete during the month of August during training camp to become the starting quarterback.
Well, you mentioned James Morgan because when I was doing some homework on him, he looks like he has the tools. He's a big guy, 6'4", 213.
Yeah, well, he's probably about 230 now.
Wow.
I mean, he's significantly bigger. He had like a lot of kids, Ron, that they go off in college. When he signed from Green Bay, Wisconsin to go to Bowling Green. Schematically, what Bowling Green was doing was more pro style,
Right.
more of the things that obviously would prepare you to get to play in the next level. They make a coaching change, and the new coach comes in, and they want to be gun run, and they want to try to have a totally different scheme and a different talent level for the quarterback. So James kind of got caught up in that situation, and he didn't start. I think the last 4 or 5 games of the season last year, they made a change at quarterback. He's super smart. He wants to go to law school. He got into grad school very, very easily, and so he was looking for a place to go to transfer. And obviously, watching the success that Alex Magoo had, and schematically what we're doing, it seemed like a good fit for him.
Well, let's talk to Napoleon now, because you were the second leading rusher. You had the best yards per carry. Now you're thrust into the main running back role. What's that like for you? Because the spotlight's on you last year. You started, 3 games, I think, last season, something like that?
Yes.
Now you're the big guy. Now, don't tense up on me, because you've been really good so far today. What's it like now you're being the guy?
With Alex Gardner leaving last year, it's been tough with the running back situation. There's a lot of competition between me, Anthony Jones, Shondarius Phillips, and Devontae Price. This offseason, we've all just been competing against each other, working hard, and just going at each other, because September 1st, the guys who's on the field, we know that we can believe in him to get the job done.
Now, you missed 2 consecutive years, and then you come back. What kept you going when you were out, and why don't you explain why you were out?
I must say the thing that kept me going was just my family and the coaches telling me that everything happens for a reason, and I'm a great player, and things that I can do when I come back. I missed the first season due to an ACL, and then I recovered and came back and tore the same ACL the second time. So I missed 2 seasons.
But there's no fear now. That it's just like, just get out there and play,
Just
right?
get out and play.
Okay, what's it like, though, having somebody, you're so used to Alex being back there, getting the new quarterback. Is that taking you some getting used to?
I must say, a little bit, but, with Christian Alexander and Maurice Alexander being back there in the previous years, in practice, we got some experience with those guys. So with Christian Alexander back there now, Kalen Wiggins and James Morgan, this offseason we've been working with them quite a lot. So everything we do with them is pretty flush right now. So everything going into camp should be straight.
There's a couple of things defensively that stood out to me, Coach. You forced 13 turnovers, a record 19 sacks in 2017, but they came in the last 7 games.
Yeah.
It's like Brent Guy's system, former Oklahoma Stater himself, all of a sudden it seemed like everything gelled.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, one of the things, there were a lot of holes to plug on the defensive side. Offensively, we had some experience in the offensive line last year. As Napoleon talked about, we had a lot of running backs. Alex Magoo had played. Thomas Owens, who was our leading receiver, prior to him getting injured. So the offense was significantly further ahead than the defense. So getting them into the season and learning what they can do, it took a little bit of further time than certainly that you would like to. I think that we struggled trying to develop some depth early in the season, because in this day and age of college football with up-tempo offenses, you can't just play with 11 people. You're going to have 6 or 7 defensive backs ready to go every single week. Ideally, you'd like to have 7, 8, or 9 defensive linemen to keep them fresh, and we didn't have that. And it took a while to develop some of our incoming freshmen last year. Noah Curtis and Kevin Oliver, 2 freshman defensive ends. By the middle of the season, by the end of the season, they were playing 20, 25 plays to help give our starters a little bit of a rest. And so that's been a big major focus for us in recruiting, and then certainly during the springtime and training camp, is we want to try to have 25 to 28 defensive players ready to go every Saturday.
Well, Anthony, we're going to talk to you. Anthony Johnson, defensive lineman. The start of turnovers begins with the defensive line. Have you guys been challenged this season?
I feel like we're always challenged. We were the talk. We were always doubted. We always looked down on. Last year, Furman did a great job of leading the D-line. Me and Jermaine Sheriff came up behind him and try to help him lead. I'm excited to see where this defense is going because of Coach Guy's system. He's made it easier on us. I'm just excited in general. So.
Okay, Furman Silva, we talked about him. You guys mentioned his name. Started the last 22 games at defensive end. He's going to move to linebacker. What have you guys been given? Hey, you left the brotherhood here. You're not. All of a sudden, you're not one of us anymore.
I'm always giving him a hard time about it. He's still in our defensive line group chat, so I'm always telling. Every time we're always talking about something, I always ask him why he's still in our group chat and whatnot. But I'm happy for him. This is a great opportunity for him to showcase the kind of skills that he has. And I'm excited to see Noah Curtis, just like Coach Davis says, Noah Curtis, and Kevin Oliver step up. We also have Jordan Woods coming in now, and he's eligible. I'm excited to see what he can do at the defensive end spot also.
You've moved some people around. Sage Lewis is also, I think, going to move positions. Is he going to the outside now?
No, he was the outside linebacker. He's going inside. He's going to be the Mike linebacker. He's going to take Anthony Wynn's position last year. And Anthony was a great leader, highly productive for a lot of years. Sage is very athletic. He can run. It'll be a new situation for him because now, obviously, as the Mike linebacker, you're kind of the quarterback of the front seven, setting the fronts and those kinds of things. But I think he's up to taking the challenge, and physically he's got the skills and the talent to be able to do it.
I want to talk about your recruiting because obviously you're in a hotbed, and you were known as a recruiter every place you have been, starting back in your days with Jimmy Johnson at Oklahoma State. You knew you needed still some things to fill in. You touched on it briefly. How did recruiting go this year?
Well, we feel like, Ron, that it went very well. A lot of times people ask you about a recruiting class, and I think sometimes in recruiting you kind of look at two classes together. You look at our first class and our second class because you fill certain needs in year one, you fill different needs in year two. There was a focus this past year. I mean, obviously we kind of focused on the defensive line. We focused a little bit on the secondary from a defensive perspective. In recruiting today, everybody thinks it's about the high school kids and stuff, and we signed, I think, 19 high school players, but it's also a combination of signing some junior college kids and some transfer kids that are, obviously James Morgan being one of those guys. DeAndre Demery, offensive left tackle coming from junior college, will help build the depth in our offensive line, and we have a transfer that actually came from the University of Florida, set out last year, C.J. Wharton, that I think will add some depth and some playmaking ability to the wide receiver core. Anthony just mentioned Jordan Woods, and Jordan was a defensive lineman at Georgia Tech, wanted to come back home to Florida, set out last year, and so, we think that we've got some new pieces of the puzzle that we can add in there that certainly not only will increase the competition, but it'll certainly help us from a depth standpoint.
I tell you, if you're a football fan, you're going to want to keep an eye on the East because there's some very talented teams that are going to be in major discussions by the end of the year. Butch Davis had more wins than any first-year coach at FIU. Good to see you again, my friend.
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Ron.
Thank you. Stay healthy.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you during the year.